Now, Kenyans are optimistic that county governments will prioritize, among other issues, economic development, sustainable management of natural resources, provision of quality healthcare and education. The list is endless, and indeed it is endless, according to the messages that you're sending us here tonight. Of course, each county is unique in terms of issues the constituents feel should take priority in being addressed. Tonight, we're asking you, what priority issues should county governments address in their respective counties? And kindly continue sending us your messages to 2442, and we'll sample them. My guest tonight in studio, once again, to help us understand devolution better, is Kipchumba Murkomen, a devolution expert. He has served in the task force on devolution, and he's also the Elgeyo Marakwet senator. Thank you for your time tonight. Let's begin with the untimely death of Mutula Kilonzo. Obviously, a gap there for you in the Senate and for the people in Makueni. What are we looking at in terms of the imminent scenarios?
First of all, I'd like to pass my condolences to the family of the late Honorable Mutula Kilonzo. The senator was a man that when we were in high school, we looked up to him, you know, as for inspiration. And when I was finally elected to Senate and I knew I'm going to serve with him, I looked forward to working with him and learning from him, just like the other senior counsels like Orengo, among other senior lawyers. Unfortunately, he has died untimely. In fact, he was supposed to be a member. We were supposed together to be the members of the Devolution Committee. And so we are going to meet on Thursday to elect our chair and so forth. So we feel very, very sad that he has passed on. He has left a huge gap in the legal profession. First of all, he's a senior counsel in the constitutional process. He was so instrumental. He was the minister at that time. He was the one who negotiated. So really, in terms of the gap that he has left in this country, it's a huge gap. And therefore, I mean, you know, these are people who are the brains behind the drafting of certain clauses in the Constitution that have really been very useful to us carrying forward. Right. So I think the best tribute we can give to the senior counsel is to basically to implement the Constitution in spirit and letter.
And very quickly, what are the people of Makueni now expecting? There is a gap. They do not have a senator. What are we expecting?
Unfortunately, of course, in the next few days, within the next 2 months, we will go back to another by-election, which is really sad because elections was just 2 months ago. You go to another election in 2 other months, and I really feel sad for the people of Makueni and for Wiper Democratic Party for losing this Secretary General and for CORD in general. And I think I mean, another activity of political activity will come ahead, and it's really sad.
Thank you for sharing that, Murkomen. Let's move on now to the topic of the day. Expectations are high across the country. People are looking forward to seeing development projects across the country in their respective counties. But of course, this is dependent on the allocation of revenue. Let's talk about this. Where are we as of now on this?
First of all, the expectations are really high, and Kenyans want a quick fix in terms of the issues that are ahead of them. If the road is not working, the governor should fix it immediately. What's even more confusing is that many Kenyans do not know who to go for. Sometimes you hear them asking their senator to do things that the governor should do, or to ask the governor to do things that the national government should do. So that confusion exists, and the expectations are extremely high. The challenge here is that resources have not been channeled in time. First of all, the structures for receiving resources at the county level were not put in place. Treasury, which is basically was supposed to build the capacity of counties in terms of putting the financial management system initially, were unable to do that in many of the counties. So there are very few counties that have systems that you can say they're accountable and are able to receive the resources. Third is the allocation of the resource itself. In the previous budget, it is not enough for the counties to start their work, and the budgeting process now going on. In fact, as you've seen, Parliament is in negotiation to bend the rules so that we don't close the timelines by the end of by 30th. We extend the time a little bit for Parliament to have time to discuss either at the National Assembly, but also as the Senate when it comes to horizontal sharing of the resources across the counties. In fact, some of us in the Senate have of the strong view that although a National Assembly sitting on behalf of the Senate last time passed a formula that will be used for allocating resources to various counties. We think we need to revisit that formula because now Senate acting purely for counties is in place. So that discussion is around. My greatest challenge is not, I'm not worried about Nairobi or Mombasa or Nakuru or Kisumu because they have alternative source of revenue in terms of the collections. But counties that are marginalized, counties like my county, Elgeyo Marakwet or Tana River.
And somebody here actually talking about Elgeyo Marakwet and saying they need a tarmac road there.
Absolutely.
There isn't a single tarmac road there.
Absolutely.
This viewer is saying.
If you go there and the expectation that people have, minus the resources being given to them, we have nothing to raise our resources now to say we are taxing anyone. We have no clear source of revenue locally, and so we are among the counties. And I feel for all those counties that are depending on allocation from the treasury. If they are not enough, then there will be a gap between expectation from the people and what the leadership can be able to deliver.
And just you just mentioned there that you're not worried about counties like Nairobi, you're not worried about counties like Mombasa. Let's talk about some of the counties that are believed to be lagging a bit behind. We're looking at the priority issues, but how do we ensure that even with the revenue allocation, and we know that some counties will be given huger sums, how do we ensure that some counties don't lag behind?
Exactly, a good question, because my argument has always been that the resources that are, the formula, the reason why we want to relook at this formula looked at population instead of looking at the factors that actually like marginalization and whether the certain counties have resources. That is why there's I have an argument, and I think this is what we are discussing in the Senate, that allocation of resources must be based on functions. So we have to do something called functional analysis and costing of those functions. Let me give you one example. If you go to Moyale County, for example, it is more costly to dig boreholes and get water to people because you can't even see the water itself than expanding the pipelines for water in Nairobi, for example, because there's already infrastructure in Nairobi. If you want to expand the pipelines, you can charge fees. The fees that are charged, are enough for you to expand. But in Moyale, it will need double or three is the money you are going to allocate to Nairobi. So that can only be done if we do functional analysis, so that we analyze every place based on the function. Nairobi, for example,
and who is doing this functional analysis?
If we do general allocation, and say population is big in Nairobi. Yes, population is big in Nairobi, but they don't grow anything. They don't have livestock in Nairobi. They actually depend on the farmers to bring the food to Nairobi. So we have to be able to analyze and say this county needs more money in agriculture so that we can all eat and give more money based on function. So initially, the Transition Authority was supposed to start that process of functional analysis, but I think it needs to be expedited.
Has it lived up to its mandate, the Transitional Authority? Because we were supposed to see a smooth transition, and concerns continue to be raised regarding the transition and the fact that nothing is really happening as of yet. And these are this is the bulk of the comment that we're getting in tonight. I
think I really don't want to blame the authority. I think first of all they were facilitated to come to office late, but also they were they didn't have capacity in terms of staff. So I saw recently they were advertising many people and so forth. I still think they need to expedite their work. The first thing we are going to do as Devolution Committee after we finish our elections on Thursday is to schedule the first meeting with Transition Authority so that we can be able to listen from them how far they have gone and see what assistance they are going to have. As soon as the Cabinet Secretary, if Anne's name is going to be passed, we wish her the very best. We will also hold a meeting with her plus the Transition Authority, and then we need to expedite that process. Otherwise,
and something I want us to touch on very quickly, what should we be seeing by now as regards development administration changes in development, changes in administration just across the country and national outlook very quickly?
The first thing is planning. All counties should have their strategic plans. Very few counties have drafts or have complete strategic plan. So we need a plan because the Constitution says allocation of resources will be based on plans. So we need to have the strategic plan. Second is that counties then after that need to put money on planning the fiscal planning, so that you know where you're going to build what. And one of the biggest problems is to undo the bad structures. They are everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the third is then the projects needs to begin. The county executive officers have been formed, the county executive committees. They should be moving forward now to prioritize, to table and prioritize the projects they are going to undertake, so that the people, and finally, we should be having updates to the people. There has to be continuous updates, so that there is no lag between the expectation and the information flow.
Right.
Otherwise, there will be a conflict.
I like that you said that, so that the anxiety can be managed.
Absolutely.
The role of the senator in relation to county governance as we wind up.
Yeah.
You are sitting in Nairobi. You will be sitting in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Therefore, at what point does the senator participate in issues to do with county development?
First of all, the senator being in Nairobi in the Senate, he is participating in his county development because he's there to ask questions, he's there to fight for allocation of resources, he's there to provide oversight to the counties. And that is the first important role that he's going to participate. The second is to then continue getting information from the leadership. Actually, the working relationship between the governor, the senator, and county assembly must be so close that information flow is there. And many people have not realized that no matter which political party you are elected from, even if you don't come from the same political party with your leadership on the ground, there has to be a continuous information flow. We have agreed as senators in our last meeting that one of the quick amendment we need to introduce is to provide a mechanism within which the senator can be able to go to county assembly and be held accountable by the county assembly members, addressing them on what he has been doing and to collect information from the county assembly on what he needs to come and do, so that 3 years in a year, the senator is able to have a session with the county assembly, official sessions with the county assembly. Yeah.
Indeed, and your parting shot as we wind up, priority issues, people really sending a lot, everybody looking at their constituency as having a unique set of problems and areas that they think need to be addressed. But just as we wind up, your parting words on what priority issues need to be addressed for us as a country, 47 counties indeed.
As I said, that's strategic plan, but also we need to harmonize resources. I hope the county executive are able to reduce wage bill by hiring few people who are able to do more work. Second is to ensure that there is harmonization of all projects that are going to be done by the county, and that is where the strategic plan solves. So that if you have NGOs working and governmental organizations in your area, they know what to fund and what county government can fund. We need to harmonize how CDF is going to work with the county government allocations, so that we don't finance the same projects or abandon other projects in the hope that another leader is going to look at them. So we have a wholesome. But lastly, unity. If we have no unity of power, and it's not unity for the sake of stealing from the people, it should be unity driven by priorities, that things that people want to do for their people. If we are united in the county, we will be able to move forward. Lastly, the counties must also find a working relationship with the national government. Today, I saw the discussion between the governor of Mombasa and the president when we were in Mombasa. And one of the things was, we need to work on this. Mr. President, I want to finance this. Can national government do this? That relationship is very necessary if we are going to move forward.
Right. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Indeed, the relationship between the national government and the county government, one that we need to explore some more in future discussions. Thank you very much for your time tonight. Kipchumba, Murkomen, Elgeyo Marakwet, Senator, who has also served in the task force on devolution, helping us understand devolution better tonight in studio. Time for us to take a short break now. We'll be back with the Day Sports with Wahiga Mora.
Thank you. Thank you. There is a lot.